Hello and welcome to today's episode of Show Me Your Stack. Today I will be interviewing Skyler Reeves. So let's shuffle up and check out what's in Skyler's Tech Stack Review. Hello, welcome to Show Me Your Stack. I'm so excited to be interviewing Skyler Reeves today. Skyler, I'm going to pass it over to you. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Skyler Reeves. I'm the founder of Ardent Growth. We're a go-to-market consultancy that works a lot with HubSpot and folks who are kind of in between the ownership and subscription model on the industrial manufacturing side of things.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to have you here today. So let's go ahead and shuffle up and see what's in your tech stack. So let's start with number 5. What tool comes in for you as your 5th most used tech stack tool?
So I don't know that it's the 5th most used, but I would say that it's a conglomerate. So I use SetApp, if anyone's familiar with that. It's probably a toss-up between SetApp and Raycast. So that covers a lot of utility type apps, things like that. SetApp, you can sign up for it a single subscription and get access to tons of tools that you otherwise have to pay for monthly. So a lot of utility things like that.
That's awesome. I have not heard of that tool on here
Oh,
yet.
that's great.
So I'm going to take that as a win for us. And let's go to number 4.
Number 4 is probably, there's a tool called Causal. If you've never heard of that, Causal is you can think of it like a better way to do financial models, forecasts, and scenarios than inside of a spreadsheet. That's primarily what we use it for. A lot of scenario forecasting, whether it's across planning. When do you need to make a new hire based on headcount and growth models? When do you need to invest more? Like, what would it look like if you invest more in this marketing channel or into this sales motion? Things like that.
Interesting. I'm like, how do you spell that one?
It's CAUSAL. And I believe the website is causal.app, I believe.
Okay. I'm going to have to look into that one and study
Yeah,
up.
it can connect directly to QuickBooks and whatever HRS, like Gusto or Rippling, anything like that. It can connect to different databases if you use a database or a data lake or a data warehouse like BigQuery. So that way you can bring a lot of your data into a single place and do forecasting.
Well, dang, Skyler, that's 2 now that are brand new to this podcast. So I love it. What do you have for us at 3?
3 is probably Missive. That's our team email tool of choice. You can think of it like a shared inbox, but imagine like instead of having to forward people emails, we can just comment back and forth on them. If anyone's familiar with Front, it's similar to that. So we can, instead of me having to forward an email to somebody, I can tag them in a comment in between the emails. So it's almost like we can chat around the email. You can assign emails to people the same way you would in like a ticket support inbox, things like that. It also has...
Do you use...
Good.
Sorry, do you use like Gmail as the front interface still, or...
No, so
is it straight through that?
Gmail's the back end that powers it. Missive has its own desktop app, web app, things like that, mobile app. It has the best mobile email app that I've ever used. Super feature rich, but yeah, no, we operate out of that, and then it also has the ability to do rules, which are really handy. So I can say, if I get an email from XYZ types of people that fits this criteria, I can either automatically route it to somebody, to say an assistant, or to somebody in a different department, or I can have it automatically reply, do a bunch of things like that. So has some advanced conditional branching logic built into the rule system.
Really cool. Okay, now I'm 0-3 for tools that you have. That you're like podcast number 15, and I've never heard of these tools. That's amazing. What do you have for me at 2?
So 2 is probably one I can promise you've probably never heard of. It's called Nave. Nave is...
is that NAV?
NAVE.
Sorry.
Yeah. The website, I believe, is getnave.com, something like that.
Okay.
It's built by a small team out of, I believe, somewhere in, I think, maybe the Netherlands. But
Okay.
it's basically it changed my life, changed the way we do a lot of operations here. So you can think of it as a way to apply reporting metrics on top of tools like Asana or Jira or anything like that.
Okay.
If you're a company that likes to think about flow metrics like Kanban, if anyone's ever had the problem of wondering how long is it going to take me to get X number of things done across our team, or how many days will it, or how many things can I get done in X number of days, it has built-in Monte Carlo simulations, so it can pull all this data and run these advanced statistical calculations for you. That way, when a client asks, when are we going to get this project finished, I can tell them with about 85% accuracy, or I could take it up to 95%.
Wow.
Well, we'll be able to complete this by X date. There's an 85% chance, and it's pretty dead on the money. So Monte Carlo simulations are powerful.
So you use this tool internally for your PM tool
Yes.
as well as externally. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we use it
Awesome. All right.
on our dev side when we're building our own stuff, as well as whenever we're executing work for customers.
Awesome. I'm like mind blown right now. I was like frantically looking this up too. I'm like, this is amazing. What do you have for me at number one?
Number one is Retool. Retool, I believe I don't even remember what the website is exactly. I think it's either retool.io or retool.com. But Retool, you can think of it like, so you got to have some development chops to be able to use it. I'm a background in software engineering, so I use it to build a lot of internal applications for ourselves. If there's something
Okay.
that I want to exist that doesn't exist, that I can just quickly throw together just a simple interface where I connect it to different data points or different APIs, I'll write that and pull it all in. It's a lot easier than building a front end myself every single time from scratch. So,
Right.
for example, one of our main services is completely powered by it. So it's the reason why it's our number one is we we had this problem with SEO where we're like, hey, how do we know which content to create and in what order to get the best results in the least amount of time? And so we wrote an algorithm to do that and crunch all that data. But the way we interface with that data is through Retool. So Retool gives us this
Okay.
internal application that we use, that we also let customers use to plan and visualize their topic clusters. For their website, we built it for managing tasks, managing HubSpot actions, a bunch of different, basically anything you want to build. It's just kind of like a tool builder to help you manage the front end.
That's
You have to know how to
awesome.
write code on the back end, but
The key phrase in there, right?
yeah.
Awesome. Well, Skylar, you just introduced me, and I'm sure 90% of our listeners, to 5 tools that we've never heard of. So I'm just going to recap these. We had SetApp coming in at 5. 4 is, was it
Causal.
Causal? I was like, I wrote down carousel. No, Causal. 3 is Missive. 4 is Nave. 2 is Nave, and 1 is Retool.
Yep.
Okay. I'm so excited to go dive into these and search them out. So thank you so much for bringing something fresh. I love it. Okay. What are you hearing about in industry? I know all 5 of your tools that we just chatted about are newer tools, but what else do you have out there?
So one that I've played around with, but I'm not actively using, not that I don't want to, I'm always like, well, let me make sure that, I'm like, make sure the budget, makes sense for the budget and things like that. So it'll be something we'll probably roll out and
Right.
start using in Q1 of next year. But there's a tool called Double Loop. It is,
Okay.
it's everything I've ever wanted for a long time. There's this common problem of being able to connect strategy to execution. And it gives you a way to, when you're planning your objectives and your OKRs or any sort of metrics that you want to measure, right, KPIs, etc. It gives you a way to say, okay, here's the things that we want to accomplish, and then begin to decompose it into what are the various levels of things we need to measure as you drill down into different departments or different roles and specializations. But it keeps it all connected, so it's kind of like in a canvas. And it also connects to all your external tools, so that the data, that you actually get real-time data flowing in, so that you can
Okay.
then see okay, if I've taken these actions, if we've done these things, and I'm going to make a bet and say that this is going to overall increase this, progress towards a goal, you can actually track and see, okay, is it actually progressing towards it? If so, at what rate? Is it statistically significant or not? Like, should this be something that we
Wow.
continue to invest resource and time into, or is it a lost cause that we can drop it off if needed? So it's just a way to be able to drill down at each level between all the way from, think about like the board level to the executive level, C-suite, down to, VPs, all the way down to individual contributors. So
Awesome. Okay. Last question coming for you. You just won blackjack, card poker, whatever you play.
sure.
You have millions to start. What do you build?
Oh, well, that's a good question. So I'm always building things. I'm more of a product person than anything else, but right now when I'm building, and I mean, if I had more money, I would just build it faster. Is actually something to do with Supered, to solve some of the issues that I find, like not necessarily with Supered itself, but more about the management of everything going on across different customers. So, and I'd be absolutely delighted if anybody from the community can message me and tell me if something already exists to do this. But I asked Steve on the team, and he was like, I can't think of anything. I was like, all right, I just wanted to make sure I didn't waste my time building it
Yeah.
if it already existed. But there's a lot of tools out there that enable you to, say, pull data from different HubSpot portals and manipulate it, but there's not many that
Okay.
allow you to pull the actual metadata on the structures of different portals, and be able to manipulate it in real time right there so that you can see across different portals. Say, for example, for folks who use Super, if you've created packages and they have these lists and these workflows and these properties in them, right? Like being able to keep up with
Right.
across all your different customers. Okay, we've changed this package. What version is it in this portal? Does that portal need to be updated? That way you can kind of cross-reference across different accounts or portals that you're working with to know what's the state of everything, where's the baseline, what needs to be changed, why does it need to be changed. That way you can kind of have a command center to see all of that. So that's what I'm building right now in Retool actually too. So
I love that. I could see how that would be extremely useful for many HubSpot and Super clients.
it's a hyper niche area where like anybody who's internal
Right.
that's using HubSpot wouldn't be useful to them, right? But for anybody that's using Super and leveraging it, and has maybe a
Right.
lot of complicated workflows and things like
Workflows.
that, then it could be useful. That way you can repurpose
Right.
across different customers, but also know, okay, if I repurpose this here, is it going to make sure that it's not going to break anything, or what do you need to change, things like that with it.
I love that. Well, Skyler, every single thing that you've talked about is new for me. And so I'm taking this as the dealer wins this one,
Sure, yeah.
since I'm walking away with a lot of new products to go search and to talk about. So thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
No, nothing comes to mind, Ashley.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on Show Me Your Stack. I'm so excited for our listeners to also learn about these great tools. So thank you.
Yep, glad to be here.
Let's shuffle up and show me your tech stack, where every episode is a high stakes reveal of the tools that are aces in our guest book, where chips are down and digital decks are on the table. Are you ready for the best in class tech? Let's deal these cards and see what comes up. Who's ready to double down on digital innovation with me?